Scooba-dooba-doo-wop, boop-bop-a-zooba-doo-bop-bop-ba-da. Hello, and welcome to the PRFC Fan Show. I'm Kevin. This is a fan show by fans for fans, and yes, I am happy, and yes, I was singing a stupid song and dancing. You know why? Because I am happy. Things are going so well with our beloved team that I just felt like being happy, so sue me. Look, we had a great game against the Las Vegas Lights. We've already talked about that in a past episode. Then Tulsa Roughnecks come into town, and what do? We decide to beat them up too. It was awesome. We all know about JJ. We talked about it on the last show. His great scissor kick. I mean, what a goal. What we didn't talk about were other great things that happened. First of all, somebody had to serve up JJ, and that person was Amadou Dia. Amadou, what a great pass that was to JJ. I mean, it was just a killer cross. Without you, JJ wouldn't have what he had. I'm not taking away from JJ, but I'm just saying, Amadou, you do it right. I'm right about that. Okay, that's a stretch, isn't it? Okay, anyways, we had a couple of other great goals too. Kevon Frater had a great goal. It was sweaty, 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 sweaty. But it was a goal, and it was awesome to see him get his first goal on the season. Now here's what's really cool is that Alessandro Origi fed him. And it was awesome because let's face it, Alessandro, no offense, like you're watching this, I doubt it, but just in case, you're not 6'3" and 300 pounds. You're a smaller guy, and you were driving in with the ball, and that Tulsa Roughnecks defender was getting all up in your craw, pushing on you, and what did you do? You were just like, back off, push back on him, continued on, and then laid out the perfect cross across the goal to Kevon, which allowed Kevon to just take that ball and slam it into the back of the net. It was great soccer. It was sweaty. I love sweaty. It was a lot of fun to watch. What a great play. So congrats to you both. And of course, we have Chris Cortez, who had another sweaty goal where the ball was just crossed. And I can't think of who crossed it to him right now. And I'm not going to stop the tape because this is going well. But whoever it was, you rock. And Chris, you're in the right place at the right time again. You just take that ball and say, boop, there you go, back of the net. You know, Chris, what I really like about Chris is that he is a positional player. Have any of you ever played racquetball and you play against that guy who hardly moves? He could be 300 pounds. Doesn't matter. He hardly moves, and he beats you because he's always in the right place at the right time. And then he just swings his little racket and nails the ball in the corner, and it bounces 40 times before it goes 6 inches, and you lose. Chris is that same kind of guy. He is a positional player. Is he the fastest guy on the pitch? No, he doesn't have to be, because Chris has figured out the magic of being where you need to be at the right time to make goals. And you know what? I will take that every single time. So Chris, congratulations to you on that goal. It was incredible to watch. Now, last of all, I'm going to talk about our coach. Rick, see, I did it again. I always do this when it counts. Rich. It's not Rich, Kevin. It's Rick. Rick Shantz. I need to get this straight. Rick, you did a great job. Now, I'm not saying that Rick's watching it because he's got much better things to do than watch our stupid show, but I'm still going to say it. Rick, you did a great job, and here's why. I forget how far into the game we were. Chris Cortez goes up in the air, flips back, hits the ground flat on his back with his tailbone. I mean, it's one of those things where we all went, woo, when he hit the ground because it was ridiculously hard. I mean, yeah, it was bad. And Chris felt it. There was no doubt about it. He got up slowly. He was moving on this field very slowly. He tried taking a shot at one point. He couldn't really get the twist in. He couldn't get his back and leg into it. The shot just kind of dribbled off. It was obvious to us that Chris was injured and needed to get off the pitch. And we're like, why isn't Coach Shantz taking him off the pitch? We got Billy Forbes sitting there on the bench, ready to rock and roll, completely healthy, and yet the coach was keeping Chris on the field. It was a mystery to us. We don't want Chris to get more injured. We want him to be healthy for other games, so why not just pull him off the pitch? But coach kept him on. And sure enough, him being the coach, knowing more than we do, Chris eventually shook it off, was back in form exactly the way that he should be, and lo and behold, scored a goal. So you know what? Great decision by Coach Shantz to keep Chris on the pitch. And then, to even make it better, he made 2 substitutions. The aforementioned Alessandro Riggi and Kevon Frater. And what did they do? Oh, they teamed up and made a goal. So he had substitutions that went in and almost immediately produced. This is what we want to see from a coach. And it's just freaking awesome. So I got to say, I said before we need to give Coach Rick a chance. Ha ha ha, pun. Yeah, that's played out. But we don't need to give him a chance anymore. He's proven himself, and I think he could be a great coach for Phoenix Rising. I'm very excited. I think you should be too. In a weary world, so goes a good deed. Los Bandidos is doing a great deed. They have, for the past month, been supporting Pride Month. And shame on me for not bringing this up last episode. If you haven't seen it on Twitter or Facebook, they've been putting it everywhere. They have Pride Month foremost in their minds, and they've been doing a Pride fundraising campaign where you donate money based on the number of goals that Phoenix Rising scores, and a couple of other things too. Now, we only have one more game left in June, but it's not too late for you to go and donate. The goal was to get $500 donated for every goal that Phoenix Rising scores. The last time I checked, and I could be behind on this, but the last time I checked, we were at like $473. So close. So if you want to support, go find Los Bandidos on Twitter or on Facebook and sign up and donate money to the cause per goal. And let's see if we can't hit that $500 amount. And they also have a great t-shirt that they're selling for Pride Month. I think they're still in stock. I'm not sure. But check that out too. To me, that's a great cause. And I think Los Bandidos are doing a wonderful thing by supporting Pride Month. And I think it would be great if we all went out and supported them. I was really happy when I lined up an interview with Tyler Terens. If you don't know who Tyler is, he's the voice of Phoenix Rising. He does the play-by-play commentary on TV. And I love the guy. I love his commentary. I record the games, and sometimes I watch the games, fast forward a lot, but I really, really love the color that Tyler gives to the game. And what I really, really liked was that Tyler surprised me. See, with his voice, he's got one of those media voices. I thought he was going to be a guy in his mid-30s or whatever in the middle of his career. No, not true at all. He's young, he's in his 20s, and you know what? He looks like he's 12 to me, but that's because I'm ancient. And he's just great because he's making so much of his career so quickly. And I think it's wonderful. So I did this interview with Tyler. He gives a lot of insight, not only on himself, but on Phoenix Rising and the job that he does. And I think it is a wonderful interview. I can only hope that we will be able to do more interviews with him in the future. So check out the interview now. First of all, Tyler, thank you so much for joining the show. For those of you who don't know, this is Tyler Terens, and he is the voice of Phoenix Rising and does the play-by-play commentary and does a great job. You know, it's funny because when I heard your voice, I never would have guessed you're like 16 years old. I mean,
15, but yeah, I'm 16 in a month.
Close, you know. At that age, it's not an insult, right? So I want to ask about the PRFC stuff, but let's step back a little bit because I did do a little research on you, and you worked with the University of Vermont, and then is it Hobart and Williams, the College of Hobart and Williams?
Hobart and William Smith colleges. Hobart is the male version of the colleges, and William Smith is the female. The only separation is basically athletics and student government. Otherwise, it's combined. Gotcha. College atmosphere. Yep.
I never was one for separating the girls from the boys, but it is.
No, neither was I. Neither was I. No.
So is that where you went to school, or where did you go to school? And when you graduated, how'd you get the gigs, and how's your career gone?
So I went to Hobart College. I was recruited there to play soccer. It's a little, humble school in Geneva, New York, which is about 45 minutes west of Syracuse, up in the snow belt there. And basically, I sort of got into the whole play-by-play broadcasting world by pure coincidence. I just happened to be injured for a preseason game. A buddy of mine and I were put on video duty, as we so often are, with injured guys during preseason. We don't have the resources to have, a manager travel with us. And we decided to do a makeshift broadcast of the game. We got out empty water bottles, and, it was more of a comedy skit than anything. And my buddy put on a fake English accent. I was doing an over-exaggerated play-by-play. And lo and behold, my coach listened back to the game and thought that I actually might have a future in this business. I was doing Princeton University broadcast, Stevens Institute of Technology, Holy Cross, all men's and women's soccer programs in one season.
Wow.
So I was traveling back from Worcester, Massachusetts to Hoboken, New Jersey to Princeton, New Jersey in the course of one season. And then I got the University of Vermont women's basketball gig on 620 AM WVMT. I was working 2 side jobs at a Dick's Sporting Goods and a museum cafe, all while traveling with the women's basketball team up and down the Northeast, which was a blast. And then I just sort of cold called the front office of the National Women's Soccer League, and they passed me along to 3 or 4 different people. And I basically found out that the broadcast, as you know, because I'm sure from watching the USL games and especially the Phoenix games, the halftime feature with Vista World Link down in Florida. Mm-hmm. And they're basically housing every single NWSL game. Phoenix is one of our biggest clients. And we obviously do every single home and away game. And I got in touch with the right person. They got my reel, and one thing led to another. And I've been down here for a little more than a year now. And I was given the honor of being the voice of Phoenix this season, and it's been going fantastic.
So what was it like moving from up in peaceful, serene upper New York and going down to Florida?
It was interesting. I mean, if you were to have told me, halfway through college that I was going to end up being in South Florida calling games remotely and not really being on site for any of them, I probably would have said that you're crazy. But it was a really, really good change. People were very confused as to why I was in Vermont during the coldest months of the year, from November until March. And then I ended up going down to Florida from March until November. And then I went back up to the Northeast afterwards. So it was, skiing during the winter, and then, on the beach in the summer in Florida. I'm certainly not complaining, but it's definitely been a little bit of an adjustment. But at this point, I've gotten used to the heat. I'm not sweating every time I step out of my apartment, but still hot in June in Florida.
That's so funny. Yeah, Florida is different. I lived in Georgia for almost 20 years, and we'd bop down to Florida and play a lot of sand volleyball down there, and it was just always a different scene down there. It's Florida's kind of like its own country to itself almost.
Very true. Very true.
So how did you become the voice of Phoenix Rising? How did you lead up to that?
So it was interesting. So I did a number of games for Phoenix last year, but last year was the first year that at Vista, we sort of were trying to figure out which broadcasters are going to be with which teams. We didn't necessarily have one guy, delegated to each team. It was sort of a musical chairs thing. And obviously with how big of a fan base that Phoenix has, and the fact that we're doing all the home and away games, basically the front office of Phoenix said we want to have one main voice of Phoenix. We don't want to have this sort of carousel of announcers coming, and saying different things, and, people hitting on certain storylines and not hitting on certain storylines, and just having one broadcaster, which totally makes sense. So I was approached by our executive producer, and he said, how would you feel about being the voice of Phoenix for the entire season? It'll take you away from doing some other games, but you'll get an opportunity to just be the voice of a team, which I thought was unbelievably cool, and especially given the fact that Didier Drogba is at the helm of this team and how much talent and how much buzz there is around the side, I jumped at the opportunity, and I've never looked back.
I think it is fantastic because your familiarity with the team and the players comes off in spades when you're doing your play-by-play. You can always tell. Did you watch any of the Russia-Saudi Arabia game today?
Watched the entire thing.
Okay. So the announcers, I'm going to give them credit, but you could tell they're not normally footy guys, right? It was there's just a little bit of spice, or however you want to put it, that's just not there. And I think you're doing a great job. And the fact that you don't have to look at a sheet to remember who JJ is, or who Solomon is, right? It comes across. I mean, it really, really does. So what did you think of the game last night against Las Vegas Lights?
I mean, I thought that from the get-go, Jason looked unbelievable. I could sense that he was getting a goal. I thought that it might come sooner than the 32nd minute, but he looked fantastic. And it was such an interesting yet rewarding process to sort of talk to Rick 2 days ago on Tuesday, right when obviously the news that Patrice was going to leave dropped. King Foot, or the Egyptian website, released it, but it wasn't really a formality until Tuesday. So I just thought it was really, really cool for them to be able to all buy in and then go out and put a performance on like that at home, especially after that long, grueling road trip where they were able to get 4 points and coming off that sort of sluggish game against Sacramento. And they went with the same exact lineup. I think that is really encouraging from a fitness standpoint. I mean, they've gone with the same exact 11 for the past 3 games, and I could have expected that there was going to be a bit of rotation in the starting lineup, but they go with the same exact 11 that they did against Sacramento, and 10 out of the 11 guys got 90 minutes. I mean, there was only one sub used against Sacramento, so I thought it was a huge testament just to the drive and credit to Rick to be able to just say, okay, these are the guys we're going to go with. They've given us 3 great performances against St. Louis and against Sacramento. It was just it was a clinic from an offensive standpoint. I mean, the best play of the game that didn't even result in the goal, the Chris Cortez skill on the sideline, sliding it through to Jason Johnson and the ball through to Asante. And Ricardo Farinho, he was the best player on the field for Las Vegas last night. I mean, it easily could have been 7, 8, 9-0 without him.
Yep.
But to be able to see that sort of technique, creativity, flair coming out on the offensive third, I mean, that's exactly what Patrice wanted. Every time that we speak with him on the phone, we want to bring this exciting brand to Phoenix. We want to be able to bring this lively, energetic spice of football to Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. And Rick said, the best way to honor him is to go get 3 points and just to put on a show. And that's exactly what they did. And I just thought that was awesome. And I thought Solomon was great. I thought Jason was great. I thought Cortez did his job. I mean, everybody was spectacular.
What else do you want to see yourself doing? Do you look at these commentators at the World Cup and think, you know what, in 4 or 8 years, I'd love to be one of those guys?
Yeah, that's the goal, right? I mean, I don't really have any sort of limitation on where I want to go. I mean, obviously I have in my head where I'd like to be in a certain amount of time, but anybody in this business, I've talked to greats such as Ian Eagle, Jim Nance, and they just all say there's no formula. There's no one way to get from point A to point B. Every broadcaster has a different path. And, I see these games of the World Cup, and obviously with the United bid for 2026, everybody, my dad said, let's get our tickets now. And I said, I would like to be working that World Cup in 2020.
What are you saying, Dad?
It's just amazing just to be in this position at this age. I mean, to be able to be the voice of a team like Phoenix, to be able to do games for the NWSL, for USL, for CONCACAF. I mean, it's just, it's an honor. And I want to take it one step at a time, one game at a time. And right now my focus is on Phoenix and Tulsa coming up on the weekend and just getting my boards ready for that. But yes, I would like to get to that point at some point in time, but I know that there's work to be done. Well, you're doing a great job, and you should really be proud that at such a young age you've made as much progress as you have. So again, we appreciate all the color that you bring to the games. You do a fantastic job. You're going to have a wonderful career. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And I guess that unless you have anything else, I think we'll wrap it up. Nope, that's all I got. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Tyler, thank you. Take care. All right, thanks. Appreciate it. See ya. Tyler, thank you so much for the interview. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. You're a good guy. You do a great job, and I can only hope that your career is going to continue growing and improving, and that someday you will be one of those World Cup commentators. If you are, well, by the time that happens, I'll probably be dead. But if I'm not dead, I will be like, I interviewed that guy in 2018, 20 years ago. And then I'll probably ask for a prune juice and fall asleep. But otherwise, thank you, Tyler, for taking the time to interview with us. That is all I have for an episode this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't get a lot of comments, and I really would like to get comments. If you like the show, that's great. I want to hear what you like. If you don't like the show, tell me that too. I have thick skin. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And if you don't like the show, you're probably not listening to this because you didn't get this far. But either way, leave some comments, like, subscribe. I need subscribers. It would be fantastic if you would subscribe. We are the PRFC Fan Show.
a fan show by fans, for fans. Again, I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.